Wait. According to GMA News, noong 2023 alone, mahigit 36,000 na Pinoy ang na-offload o hindi pinayagan to board their international flight.
Pero ano ba ang offloading? Bakit ba may ganito? And anong pwedeng gawin para maiwasan ito? Yan ang pag-uusapan natin in this episode.
Hey Dirty Peter! I'm Vince.
And I'm Yosh and welcome to the Poor Traveler channel.
Before tayo mag-start, gusto lang namin magpasalamat sa inyo dahil we finally reached 250,000 subscribers! Yay!
Yay!
Sa mga nakasubscribe na, maraming salamat talaga.
And sa mga hindi pa, know na we consistently publish informative travel videos, so subscribe na rin kayo. Just hit on the subscribe button, ring the bell beside it, and turn on notifications para hindi nyo ma-miss ang future uploads natin.
Sa Facebook naman, 1 million followers na yung page natin. Pero join din kayo sa The Poor Traveler Support Group. Group naman to, iba pa dun sa page. Dito naman, pwede kayong humingi ng advice or tips. Pwede kayong mag-post ng questions and very helpful ang mga members dito. Walang pilosopo.
Kami ni Vince, we have been travel blogging for the past 15 years, visiting 70 countries and territories. And you might think na hindi na kami ganun ka-worried pagdating sa immigration. Kung natatakot pa rin ba kami na ma-offload. Pero ang totoo, ninenervyos pa rin kami kapag nag-a-approach kami dun sa immigration counters. And sometimes we still encounter super strict immigration officers.
Yan siguro ang biggest nightmare ng isang Pinoy traveler, ang ma-offload. Yung hindi pa nag-start ang trip mo, tapos na agad. Sayang lahat ng ginastos and binook para sa trip.
Hindi lang gastos pati oras na ginugol sa pagplano ng trip na yon, sayang din. And ang sama din kasi talaga sa pakiramdam kung ma-offload ka, di ba? It's been a highly controversial issue over the past years.
Pero bago tayo magbigay ng tips kung paano mapadali ang immigration process, i-define muna natin para we're on the same page. Ano ba ang offloading?
For the longest time, ang offloading means getting a boarded passenger out of the plane or to remove a passenger from the aircraft. Meaning, nakasakay na, tapos pinalabas. Ganon. Pero sa Pilipinas, offloading has become an umbrella term to mean na hindi ka pinayagan na lumabas ng bansa. But yung official term na ginagamit ng mga immigration officers ay deferred boarding. Pero for the purpose of this video, we'll just go with the flow and sundan lang natin yung colloquial definition which is binlock, ganon, sa pag-keme.
Tama. Bago tayo magpatuloy, disclaimer muna. Kami ni Yosh, hindi kami immigration officers
Ay, hindi ba?
Hindi talaga. Huwag nyo kaming awayin, please. And hindi rin kami affiliated with the Bureau of Immigration. Itong mga isi-share namin sa inyo ay based sa documents na available, interviews, news reports, and personal na karanasan din namin. 20 years na kami nagto-travel and ilang beses na kaming dumaan sa immigration process. So I think, i-explain din muna natin. Ano bang immigration process kapag palabas ng bansa?
Una, pag-usapan natin, ano ba muna yung immigration officers? So, ang mga immigration officers or IO ay uniformed personnel pero they are in charge of border control. They function under the Bureau of Immigration na na-create nung naisabatas yung Philippine Immigration Act of 1940. Yung fina-follow ng immigration officers ay yung tinatawag na arrival and departure formalities. Sa airport, may two main types of immigration officers kayong may encounter. Yung una, yung primary inspectors. Under sila ng Port Operations Division. Sa immigration counters sila nakastation. So, kapag lalabas ka ng bansa or paparating, yung mga nakikita nyo na nasa counters, sila yon. And their job is to do the initial screening. Tatanungin kayo ng questions, titingnan yung mga documents nyo, and looking out for red flags. Ideally, within 45 seconds, they should be able to make a call whether you should be allowed to go through or if they need to know more. 45 seconds lang. Yung 45 seconds, hindi yun parang kailangan 45 seconds Yun lang yung parang global standard. So sometimes kapag meron pa silang further questions or they still need more clarification. They will need to take you aside para gumalaw yung line, para hindi mag-build up yung mga tao. And at this point, i-refer nila kayo sa tinatawag na secondary inspection. Meron kasi kaming friend na dating immigration officer. Hi, Kevin!
Hello, Kevin.
And siya na yung papag-explainin natin kung ano yung ginagawa nila. Kasi nag-guest siya sa isang podcast episode natin about this. Pasok!
I'm sure may mga instances that it takes longer. Pero under the ISO, or the International Organization for Standardization's rules kasi, the processing should only last for 45 seconds. So kapag alam namin na magtatagal yun, syempre, for example, si passenger na walang mga documents na ma-present, ano na siya sa amin, parang red flag to be sent back to secondary. Kailangan lang makita yung buong picture.
Meron ding tinatawag na secondary inspectors. Sila naman yung under ng Travel Control and Enforcement Unit or TCEU. Kung ang primary inspectors ay yung mga usually na i-encounter natin sa airport. Yung mga secondary inspectors naman, yung hindi mo gugustuhin ma-encounter.
Kasi kapag ma-encounter mo yung secondary inspectors, malamang-lamang, ibig sabihin nun, may problema. They are usually stationed on the side in a separate and more private na room or cubicle, depende sa terminal. Their job is to make a more thorough and mas mabusising inspection, kumbaga.
But that doesn't mean naman na hindi siya makaka-travel. It just means na kailangan lang thoroughly malaman ano yung whole story ni passenger.
Pero Yosh, bakit ba sila strict? Nilagay ba ang mga immigration officers sa mundong ibabaw para gawing miserable ang mga biyaherong Pinoy?
Oo, cheka! Hindi. These days kasi, some of the top concerns for them ay yung mga Pinoy na nag-overstay abroad or illegally nagsistay abroad. And yung mga nagfa-fall victim to human trafficking. Marami kasing mga Pinoy din ang nabibiktima niyan. And according to Kevin, kapag kami nakalusot sa kanila, kunyari sila yung nag-process, tapos yung traveler na to ay naging victim ng human trafficking or nag-TNT, pero sila yung nag-process, magre-reflect yon sa performance nila. So, kaya sila nagiging strict din. Pero the system is far from perfect.
Nakaka-frustrate minsan kasi marami sa mga travelers with the best intentions end up offloaded. Pero pag nanood ka ng news, minsan nakakarinig din tayo ng mga corruption issues within the Bureau tulad ng Pastilla scheme in 2022.
Oo, parang bago-bago pa nga lang yan eh. Or sometimes, nakakagalit din kasing isipin na yung ibang politiko or yung ibang people in power, kahit na under investigation sila, they can easily flee the country. Pero tayo mga ordinaryong mamamayan, na-offload tayo on mere suspicions. So, yun lang. Kaya minsan, naiintindihan natin yung galit and frustration talaga ng madlang people.
Yes, lalo na yung mga nagbabayad naman ng tamang buwis.
Oo. Anyway, so let's say you have an upcoming international trip and you're traveling for the first time. Ano ba yung mga kailangan mong i-prepare?
May 4 na bagay na ipinapresent sa immigration officer before you are allowed to board. Una dyan is valid passport with at least 6 months validity. Boarding pass, tapos return ticket, tapos visa if applicable.
Yung return ticket, minsan hindi no? Depende pero dapat meron kayo nun.
At the very least, dapat meron kanyang 4 na yan. Although kapag frequent traveler ka, may mga pagkakataon na hindi na tinitignan yung return ticket. Pero ideally, dapat meron ka pa rin just in case hingin.
Yes, and sometimes, actually hindi nga sometimes napapadalas to they ask for a company ID kung empleyado ka and hotel reservation too. But personally, I like creating a folder sa phone ko na nandun lahat nung mga documents na related dito sa trip ko na to. So, bukod sa sinabi ni Vince na kanina, nilalagay ko din sa folder na yon yung return ticket, hotel reservation, and tour bookings. And kung employed, maglagay na rin kayo ng certificate of employment or approved leave of absence. 'Di ba? Kung self-employed naman kayo, makakatulong kung lagi kayong may kopya ng business registration documents, BIR man, DTI, or SEC. Hindi naman kailangan na printed yan kasi ako nasa phone ko lang siya. Hindi ko rin to vino-volunteer most of the time. pinapresent ko lang siya kapag hiningi. And minsan hinihingi kasi nila.
By the way, mag-promote lang din muna kami.
Yes, kailangan natin kumita.
Kailangan kumita. Kung may upcoming trip kayo and wala pa kayong hotel, you can book with Agoda. Meron kaming discounts na you can use. Just visit thepoortraveler.net/Agoda or use our promo code AGODATPT, all caps. It will give you up to 5,900 pesos off. Actually, that's 10% off capped at $100. 5,900 pesos yan based on current exchange rate.
Para makuha nyo yung discount na to, download nyo yung Agoda app, tapos sa coupons tab, i-enter nyo lang yung Agoda TPT. Again, all caps yan dapat para tanggapin. Then, kapag nakapili na kayo ng hotel, browse kayo, tapos may napili na kayo, upon checkout, i-enter nyo lang din ulit yung code na yan dun sa coupons field. Tapos, yun na yun. Again, to clarify, hindi every time ay hinihingi ang proof of accommodation. Pero, best practice na meron kang dala talaga kasi hindi mo naman alam kung kailan ka hihingan ng hotel booking, hindi lang ng immigration sa Pilipinas, pero minsan kasi ina-ask din yan ng immigration sa destination country mo. Pagdating mo na doon. Kunyari, yung huling Bangkok trip namin, kahit na ilang beses na kaming nag-Thailand, yung last 2 Bangkok trips namin, hiningan pa rin kami ng hotel booking.
Mabalik tayo sa topic. Ano-ano naman ang mga usual na tinatanong ng immigration officer? Ito yung mga pinaka-common na tanong ng immigration officer sa amin.
Okay, game. Ano yung unang question?
Una dyan is, where are you going? Sinasagot ko kung saang city ako pupunta.
Tinatanong din, are you a government employee? Bakit? Kasi if oo, you also need to present a travel authority. May mga nakasabay na kami na government employees na nahuhold kasi wala sila ng document na to.
What is your occupation here in the Philippines? In other words, may trabaho ka ba? And kung meron, ano?
Yan. And what company do you work for? Tas dito nila minsan hinihingi or madalas hinihingi yung company ID.
When will you return to the Philippines? Or kailan ang balik mo sa Pilipinas?
Yun. So, yung mga yan yung pinaka-common na questions. Pero depende kasi yan sa IO na matatapat sa'yo. Minsan, 1 or 2 tanong lang, okay na. Minsan, wala. Naranasan din natin pag sobrang daming tao, wala nang tanong. Pero minsan, I get more questions. Minsan, tinatanong ako, where will you be staying? Tapos, ina-ask nila yung kopya ng hotel reservation ko. Kaya namin sinasabi kanina na dapat meron kayo. If you're staying at a friend's or kakilala, sometimes mas marami pa silang tanong. Kung kaano-ano mo, ganyan. What will you do there? Sinong kasama mong mag-travel? Tapos, minsan pinapaturo, nasan dyan? Tapos tuturo mo naman, ganon.
Kung first time ka palang mangingibang bansa, expect mo na maraming tanong sa'yo.
Yes, and the key is to answer confidently, consistently, and truthfully. Sometimes they will ask follow-up questions. Kapag sinundan nila kasi yung international standards, kagaya na sabi ko kanina, 45 seconds lang dapat yan. Pero if they still have questions or doubts, i-endorse nila kayo sa secondary inspection. Yan yung kaninang na-mention natin.
Pero Yosh, ano ba yung secondary inspection na yan?
When the officers deem necessary, yung ibang travelers will be subject to the so-called secondary inspection in which they will ask more questions or ask for more documents.
Before you're referred to the secondary, si primary officer, bibigyan kanya ng papel. It's a border control questionnaire. Tawag namin doon BCQ, for short. May mga tanong kasi doon parang, sino nag-sponsor? Anong gagawin mo doon? Ano talaga lahat para medyo thorough siya.
According to the Bureau, as told sa isang news agency, tourists who are more likely to be questioned are yung mga first-time tourists flying to a not-so-popular destination. Parang red flag sa kanila yon. Kasi di ba usually, kapag first-timer ka, ang pupuntahan mong bansa, Singapore, Thailand, ganyan, Hong Kong, Taiwan, Japan, ganyan. So, Southeast Asia, East Asia. Pero kung first-timer ka, tapos unang trip mo is, kunyari, Serbia, medyo, parang...
Bakit ka pupunta doon?
Oo, nagre-raise siya ng questions, di ba? Kasi hindi siya usual. Isa pang madalas na naki-question ay yung mga tourists with no steady source of income dito sa Pilipinas tapos wala ring benefactors or sponsors. Linawin natin ha, ang sabi ng Bureau, financial capability is not a requirement. However, a person may only be asked to present further proof for his travel abroad if the person appears to have a reason different from what he has declared before an immigration official. Kasi 'di ba, usually tinatanong nila, kanina nabanggit ni Vince, anong gagawin mo doon? What's the purpose of your travel? Kapag ka na-feel nila na parang, medyo hindi match yung mga documents na pinakita niya and yung sinabi nito, kunyari sinabi mo na pupunta ako doon para umattend ng concert. Tapos, hiningan ka ng proof na asan yung concert ticket mo.
Asan yung ticket or nasan yung hotel booking mo.
Tapos wala kang maipakita. Parang, syempre magdududa sila.
If sinulat mo sa departure card mo, unemployed ka tapos pupunta ka sa Hong Kong for 3 weeks as a tourist, pero wala kang mapakitang document to establish how you'll be able to spend for yourself for those 3 weeks, mas doubtful yung ganun.
So, ganun siya.
Kanina sabi mo, masa-secondary inspection ka when the officers deem necessary. What do you mean?
Taray.
Why?
When the officers deem necessary, it means you'll never know for sure kung kailan ka masasubject to secondary inspection. In case you are subjected to a secondary inspection, again, just in case, you need to prove that you are coming back to the Philippines soon or that you have the means to financially support this trip. Paano mo gagawin yon? Una, it would be best to have the following documents with you when you travel, even if you have the truest intentions. Kanina nasabi na natin, company ID. Tapos, kami ni Vince, lagi rin kaming may copy sa phone namin, just in case singin, ng latest ITR namin or income tax return and certificate of employment. Best if it indicates your salary and how long you have been with the company that you're working for. Or kung self-employed ka nga, business registration documents. Yung mga items na yan should be sufficient to prove that you are still working here in the Philippines. Which means na meron kang babalikan, may babalikan kang trabaho dito. And that you can fund this trip. In some cases, the officers might still ask for more proof.
Ikwento ko lang ha, yung isang teammate namin dito sa TPT, nung isang trip niya years ago, sa primary inspection pa lang, hiningan na siya ng proof of funds. Wala siyang dalang bank certificate or anything nun. So, pinakita niya yung banking app niya. Tanong ko nga sa kanya, pwede ba yon? Legal ba yon? Kasi di rin namin alam talaga. Pero pinakita niya. Binuksan daw niya yung banking app niya para ipakita na may funds siya. And ayun, pinayagan naman siya.
Yung teammate kasi namin na yon, ang flight niya pa Jakarta. So baka kung anong inisip nila. So nangyayari talaga na minsan hinahanap ka ng mga ganyang proof of funds or proof of employment. So madalas hindi hinihingi, lalo na kung frequent traveler ka, pero mas maganda na meron.
Pero what if wala kang financial capability?
Ayun lang. Yung mga travelers na hindi nila kayang i-support financially yung trip nila must have a sponsor who is ideally an immediate relative. Dapat meron kayong authenticated affidavit of support and guarantee indicating yung relationship ninyo within the 4th civil degree of consanguinity or affinity, kasama nung iba pang supporting documents. Sabi nga ni Kevin, in addition, the traveler must also provide proof that the sponsor can support the trip. Kasi kung sinabi ko na ay sasagutin ng tito ko yung trip na to, minsan hihingi din sila ng proof na kaya bang sagutin ng tito mo yung trip na to. So minsan hinihingi din nila yung certificate of employment, ITR or bank document nung sponsor. Pero hindi kasiguraduhan or hindi guarantee na kapag meron ka nito, papalagpasin ka na nila. Pero it will definitely increase your chances. Okay, so paano naman pag freelancer ka? Kasi 'di ba sabi ko, maganda pag may COE. Pag freelancer ka, wala ka namang certificate of employment. So paano 'yon?
Over the past 20 years, kami ni Yosh, naranasan na naming mag-travel as an employee, as a business owner, and as a freelancer. Iba-ibang era, ganyan. And napansin namin na kinakabahan kami nung freelancer era namin. And doon din kami nahihirapan kasi limited yung documents na pwedeng mapakita. But thankfully, Never naman kami na-offload.
Kung freelancer kayo, you probably don't have a company ID and wala rin kayo mapagkukunan ng Certificate of Employment. Nung freelancers kami ni Vince, ito usually yung dala namin. Kasi ilang taon din kaming freelancers na travel kami ng travel. So, dala namin copy ng ITR namin for the past year. Kasi kahit nung freelancer kami, nagbabayad kami ng taxes. So, kung nagbabayad kayo ng taxes, you should still have it. Or, kunyari, di ba meron ding form na yung client mo yung nagbabayad for you? Kung meron kayong ganon, or anything, any proof na meron kayong kinikita, pwede mong pakita yon. Pwede rin kayong magdala ng Certificate of Engagement type of document. Para siyang Certificate of Employment, pero basically, sinasabi nung client mo na they're doing business with you. And yung address, telephone number, and other info ng client, dapat nandun para just in case magtanong sila, madali nilang makakontakt. Best din na nandun na rin yung salary and gano'n nakatagal kayo na nag-work together. Meron akong format na ginawa noon na ito yung ginagamit ko nung freelancer era namin. And even sa mga kakilala ko, yun yung pinapagamit ko na format ng mga freelancer friends namin. And so far, wala naman naging problem. So kung gusto niyo rin ng copy na yon, kasi ganito yung itsura niya, pero kung masyadong maliit, may link kami sa description and ilagay na rin natin sa pinned comment. And kung kaya nyong i-ask yung client nyo na i-print siya sa official letterhead, mas maganda.
Yeah. Or pwede ka rin magpakita ng any proof na may source of income ka. Kasi kung wala, it could raise more questions.
Pag nagpe-present ka in front of an immigration officer, it just has to make sense. If you're a freelancer, as long as you can prove na, okay, as a freelancer, I'm hiring you to do this. Sabihin natin, photographer siya, for example, hinire siya for sa mga gigs na to, yung mapapakita mo lang, yung meron ka lang proof, or paper trail, kumbaga na, yeah, ano siya, it's legitimate na may mga gigs siya, and meron siyang proof.
Makakatulong din kung may dala kang business registration certificate kung registered ka naman with BIR or with DTI as a sole proprietor. Kung freelancer ka and alam mong magta-travel ka sooner or later, mag-register ka na lang para may business registration ka and may ITR ka din.
Yes, so kung alam nyo naman na balang araw magta-travel kayo tapos freelancer kayo ngayon, hindi pa kayo registered, hindi pa kayo nagpa-file ng ITR, ganyan, gawin nyo na ngayon. Gawin nyo na ngayon. Para by the time na magsa-start na kayong mag-travel, meron na kayo ng documents na to, hindi na kayo mahihirapan. Diba? Mahirap yung kung kailan malapit na yung trip nyo, tsaka pa lang kayo mag-file or wala kayong mapakitang document. Pero kung gagawin nyo na ngayon, di ba, mag-register na kayo, mag-file na kayo ng taxes, madali na kapag travel time na. Nung freelancer kami ni Vince, ilan din sa mga questions na madalas na nakukuha namin from IO ay kung saan kami magsistay, ano yung ginagawa namin for a living, and magkano yung dala nating pera. Minsan, hindi naman madalas nun, pero natatanong tayo. Minsan sinasagot ko lang doon, sinasabi ko magkano, tapos sabihin ko, tapos may credit card din ako. Hindi naman nila chine-check yung credit card, pero tinatanong lang nila. Tapos minsan, hindi lang sa Pilipinas minsan may mga ganyang questions din pagdating mo doon sa immigration naman sa ibang bansa.
Paano naman kung government employee ka? Well, kailangan mo mag-provide din ng travel authority issued by the correct office. You'll find more info in this table.
Yan. Kung hindi nyo mabasa, alam nyo na link sa description.
For local government employees, including barangay officials and SK members, these are the issuing or approving authorities.
LCE means Local Chief Executive. Kasi makikita nyo yung LCE dyan sa table. Madaming beses.
Sabi nila, kung public school teacher ka, yung travel authority mo ay dapat signed by the Schools Division Superintendent or SDS. Hindi lang kami familiar with the process bilang hindi naman kami teacher.
Hindi ba? Pero eto na, paano naman kung invited ka or sponsored ka? Unahin natin, kung sponsored ka ng isang Pinoy abroad. Pinoy ha. If invited ka or sponsored by a Filipino na based abroad, you need to provide an affidavit of support with undertaking, stating that the inviter will shoulder the trip, yung expenses nun, in part or in full, and na ikaw, na yung visitor, you will be under their responsibility during your stay in that country. Ganito yung itsura niyan. And it should contain the following information. Una, yung personal information mo as a visitor or yung traveler, yung inviter's personal information din, and yung financial capacity or capability ng inviter. Ilagay nyo lang din yung details of the trip and yung reason kung bakit kayo in-invite. So, kunyari, in-invite kayo kasi may kasal or may family event, and, di ba? And ini-invite ka, ilagay nyo lang doon.
You can also present documents proving na yung inviter can afford to sponsor you. This may be bank certificates or tax documents. Makakatulong din ang proof of relationship. Pwede ang birth certificate. If ang inviting party ay isang corporation or organization, you must also include the sponsor's corporate registration details.
Strictly speaking, yung inviter or sponsor nyo should be within 4th degree of consanguinity or affinity. Ano ba yun? Parang up to first cousins by blood or marriage. Sometimes, ina-accept ng IO yung affidavit of support from non-relative if everything else looks good. So, case-by-case basis siya. At the end of the day, sila pa rin yung magde-decide kung tatanggapin nila or hindi. Pero, ideally, yung document na to must be authenticated by the Philippine Embassy dun sa country kung saan nakabase yung inviter. Pero, if the affidavit is executed in the Philippines, dapat daw ay notarized. Nung ang sister ko ay based abroad, usually, inaayos namin to kapag dumadalaw siya sa Pilipinas para hindi na niya kailangan pumunta sa embassy. Ginagawa na namin yung mga documents habang nandito sa Pilipinas, pinapanotaryo na namin dito sa Pilipinas.
Yosh, eto. Paano kung ang inviter ay foreigner?
Naku, ayan na.
Hot topic.
Yes. Kapag may nag-a-ask ng opinion namin or may nagtatanong kung ano dapat yung kailangan nilang i-prepare na document, kapag invited or sponsored sila, ang una kong tinatanong is, Pinoy ba yung inviter nyo or foreigner? Kasi nagmamatter yan. In fact, maraming beses na kaming nakatanggap ng question na, ano po yung requirements kapag magta-travel ako abroad to meet yung boyfriend or girlfriend or kahit friend lang na foreigner for the first time? Meaning, magta-travel sila, kunyari, pupunta sila ng Canada or Dubai or US, tapos never pa nila na-meet in person yung nag-i-invite sa kanila. Doon pa lang nila imi-meet, doon sa pagpunta nila na yon. And yun yung medyo nahihirapan kami sagutin. Kasi according to the same memorandum, the following will be subject to secondary inspection, most likely. Una, travelers without financial capacity to travel pero escorted or accompanied by a foreigner who is not related. Pangalawa, partners and spouses of foreign nationals intending to depart to meet and or marry their fiancé without the CFO guidance and counseling certificate. Hindi namin alam kung yung memorandum na to is still being followed, but if it is, then you'll most likely to undergo a secondary inspection. Sabi nga ni Kevin, ito yung one of the cases na yung Bureau usually takes a closer look at and watch out for. So, an affidavit of support or guarantee or undertaking can help pero not always.
Aside from this, pwede ka rin i-ask to show proof of relationship. Tatanungin ka rin kung gaano katagal na kayong magkakilala and paano kayo nagkakilala. If first time mo pa lang siyang imi-meet doon, malamang sa malamang, ma-offload ka. Ganyan daw kasi madalas ang sitwasyon ng mga nabibiktima ng human trafficking.
Yung mga online communication kasi, no matter how long it has been going on, hindi lang siya reliable proof. Kasi di ba madali kasing ma-fake yung chat conversation, ganyan-ganyan. They will have to protect the Pinoy traveler, especially if they have no financial capability to travel. Kasi yung mga ganong cases, they will be very vulnerable abroad. So, red flag sa kanila yan. Isipin nyo guys kunyari, ikaw yung immigration officer, yung traveler na lalapit sa'yo, nalaman mo na wala siyang financial capability to travel, tapos, ang purpose niya is pupunta siya abroad para i-meet yung someone na foreigner na never pa niya na-meet before. First time niya palang mimi-meet. So, syempre, di ba, parang kung ikaw yung immigration officer, mag-iisip ka rin kasi magiging very vulnerable siya abroad. Paano kung hindi siya siputin nung nung imi-meet niya, or paano kung iba yung gustong mangyari nung ini-meet niya? Paano niya i-support yung sarili niya doon sa bansa na yun, di ba? So, yung mga ganyan, red flag talaga sa kanila yan.
Ano pa ba ang mga red flags?
According to the guidelines on departure formalities for international bound passengers, ito yung document na sinasabi natin kanina, if kasama ka dito sa mga babanggitin natin, you are likely na mas maraming questions yung makukuha mo and likely na mapadala ka rin sa secondary inspection. Una, gaya na sabi natin kanina, travelers without financial capability na accompanied by a foreigner. Kasama rin dyan yung mga minors traveling alone or unaccompanied by either parent or legal guardian without the required travel clearance from the Department of Social Welfare and Development or DSWD. And partners and spouses of foreign nationals intending to depart to meet or marry their fiancé without the CFO guidance and counseling certificate. Pati na rin yung mga passengers traveling to countries with existing deployment bans, alert levels, and travel advisories, and those in possession of visas to the said countries. Pati na rin, ang dami pala neto, pati na rin passengers who stayed abroad for more than 1 year during a previous departure from the country as a tourist or temporary visitor intending to depart for the second and or subsequent time.
So, kung isa ka sa mga yan, i-expect mo ng maraming tanong sa'yo talaga.
Hindi ibig sabihin na ma-offload ka.
Expect mo lang na pupunta ka sa second
Or
inspection.
kahit maraming tanong. Basta maraming tanong.
Oo. Pero paano ba maiwasan na ma-offload?
Ito ay hinuha lang namin ha. Kasi hindi naman tayo immigration officers. Pero most probably, yung mga immigration officers will assess cases based on 3 things. Una, your answers. Pangalawa, your records. And pangatlo, your documents. So, isa-isahin natin yan.
Sabi nga ni Yosh kanina, answer confidently, consistently, and truthfully. And sa tatlong adverbs na yan, the most important is the last one. Truthfully!
Parang kanta yan.
Oo. Bakit? Because it is so much easier to be confident and consistent when you're telling the truth. Kahit bali-balik na rin ang tanong, if nagsasabi ka ng totoo, masasagot mo yan ng tama. So, don't overthink it and wag masyadong kabahan. Kung wala ka namang tinatago, mag-relax ka lang and answer the questions as they come.
Oo, pero it's easier said than done. Alam natin yan. Kasi kahit tayo, kinakabahan din naman tayo. Wala naman tayong tinatago. Second, yung records nyo. Sabi nga ni Kevin na dating immigration officer, travel history matters. If you've traveled internationally before, kaya nilang makita sa passport mo and sa system nila na meron ka ng record. And if you have a record of overstaying and nakita nila yon sa system nila, then it's likely that they will not take your word at face value this time around.
Hindi kasi, kung maganda na yung travel history mo, parang there's no need for you to be sent to secondary kasi parang
madali na lang.
Ang ganda na ng travel history mo. Alam ko na yung mga ginagawa mo sa ibang bansa, how long you've stayed there, what you do there. 'Di ba? So kapag siguro isa pa lang stamp mo tapos bumalik ka mga 3 years later, doon ako magda-doubt na parang bakit bumalik ka pero 3 years later sabi mo tourist ka lang.
Kung na-offload ka na before, you must first complete the list of documents na binigay sa'yo noon. Kasi 'di ba kapag na-offload ka, bibigyan kayo ng parang slip. Oo, na ito yung mga kailangan mong i-work on na documents.
Pero what if first time mo palang mag-abroad? Wala ka pang record nun. Wala ka pang history. Paano mo mapuprove na babalik ka?
Diyan papasok yung pangatlong factor na sinasabi natin, your documents. It is important to remember na yung mga assessments na to ng IOs are document-based. These officers, hindi naman nila kayo kilala and all they're gonna base their decision on yung mga documents na ipepresent mo sa kanila. Ito pa yung sabi ni Kevin.
Okay.
So for example, si Yoshike pupunta sa Dubai to meet his sister. Pero ang present lang sa akin ni Yoshike is his sister's passport's bio page with her working visa. So that doesn't justify na you're related or you're going to see her for tourism purposes for me. Kasi it just shows na may random kang babaeng pinakita sa akin. It doesn't mean you're related agad with just the passport page and the visa of your alleged sister. Kasi so the bureau is document-based. So anything you say should have an accompanying document. Like for example, if you say your siblings, dapat meron kang certified na birth certificate niyong magkapatid. So meron si Yoshike, meron din si sister na. So makikita ko yun na, ay pareha sila ng magulang. So it makes sense na, okay, yeah, you're telling the truth. Sister mo nga siya. Doon lang siya magme-make sense.
Ayun. I think it's very important na alam mo ang situation mo para alam mo rin kung anong mga documents ang kailangan mong i-secure.
Tama. So, moving on, pag-usapan naman natin yung mga maaring dahilan kung bakit na-offload ang isang biyahero.
Wait. Medyo mahaba na tong episode na to. So, sa next video na natin to i-discuss. Be sure to tap the subscribe button, ring the bell beside it, and select all para notified ka kapag uploaded na yun. We're on the road to 300,000 subscribers, so please help us reach this milestone.
If nakatulong sa inyo ang video na to and may upcoming trips kayo, please use our promo codes. That's Agoda TPT, all caps dapat, for up to 5,900 pesos off or 10% off capped at 100 USD. Sa Agoda Hotels yan and Resorts. And kung sa Klook nyo naman mas gusto, the Poor Traveler Klook and TPT Klook 5 ang promo code natin. That's 5% off naman sa Klook Hotels and Activities.
Yes. You can also check out our TPT Master List. Nakakompile dyan yung mga recommendations natin sa hotel and tours. Mga requirements sa iba't ibang bansa and even iba't ibang discount codes sa iba't ibang travel websites. Just visit thepoortraveler.net/masterlist.
Don't forget to like this video and subscribe to this channel. We are Yosh and Vince, and remember, plan smart, travel safe, and make every trip
Worth it!